This past week has been a little bit like drinking from a festive Christmas fire hose. I mean, there were little dribs and drabs before, like the wrapping paper sales display that went up in our neighborhood grocery store the week of Halloween, or the lone house on my morning walk that busted out all the Santa Claus inflatables and reindeer and snowmen and candy cane lawn ornaments the Saturday before Thanksgiving. It was scattered seasonal harbingers here and there, now and then. But fast forward a week, and our often empty mailbox is now suddenly spewing forth catalogs, and my email is chock full of Black Friday and Cyber Monday teasers, and the neighborhood lawn decorations are out in full-on festive force, and the Bojangles fast food place I stopped in on last weekend's drive home was playing a station of twangy country music takes on popular Christmas songs. Imagine Eartha Kitt's Santa Baby, but sung in an Alabama accent. None of which offends me, by the way. Well, maybe the music a little bit, but I'm not getting all sanctimonious and judgy. I actually love what might be called cultural Christmas or commercial Christmas. The cards, the seasonal songs, the cookies that taste like memories, the way that many people seem a little bit kindlier or more cheerful, the holiday parties, the exchange of small gifts, the twinkling lights, the ho-ho-hos and the fa-la-las. But if I like cultural Christmas, more and more I treasure Advent. I need Advent. In the midst of all the holiday bustle and buzz, Advent represents a disciplined, intentional waiting. No festivity, no fanfare. Light a candle, lift a prayer. Waiting. Now, there are many different types of waiting. There's the simple passing of time, like sitting in the automobile service department's waiting room and scrolling on your cell phone, or like sitting in the dentist's office waiting room and disinterestedly thumbing through a Sports Illustrated magazine from 2013. Come to think of it, any place that has a room for you to wait in, you can expect to sit a spell. But Advent waiting is different than that and more than that. We aren't just marking time until Christmas arrives like waiting for an oil change to be done. A second type of waiting involves the passage of time coupled with anticipation. Waiting at the airport for your loved one to return home. Waiting for Thanksgiving dinner to be served as aromas fill the house. Waiting for the next season of the show that you couldn't binge watch fast enough. Not just sitting, in other words, but looking forward to something. But Advent waiting is something more even than eager anticipation. Another type of waiting involves a sense of anxiety or butterflies in the stomach, like waiting for the drama teacher to post the cast list after auditions, or awaiting a college admissions decision, or waiting for an email after a job interview. It's no idle passage of time or even a feeling of pleasurable impatience, but it's an anticipation of something big. Something potentially life-changing. It's waiting for a result, an outcome, an answer. And this is perhaps a bit closer to the weightiness of Advent waiting, but still, Advent waiting is different. Advent waiting is more like waiting for the whole world to change. It is, I suggest, a deep in my bones, tightness in my chest, tears in my eyes sort of waiting and need. It's the waiting of God's people in exile. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here until the Son of God appear. Dear God, let it be soon. Dear God, let it be now. It's the passage of time, coupled with eager anticipation, coupled with anxious tension, coupled with yearning. If cultural Christmas asks, what's on your wish list? What do you want? Advent asks, what do you yearn for? Not just for yourself, but for the world. I have some answers to that question. Maybe they're similar to some of yours. I yearn for a world where school shootings or mall shootings or street corner shootings or just shootings never happen. Where life is precious and not cheap. I yearn for a nation, a culture where political discourse is spirited and civil and guided by our better angels even in disagreement. Not coarse and crass and compassionless and guided by our worst impulses. I yearn for a world where terror doesn't come in the night. A world where babies don't die in bombing attacks and missile strikes. I yearn for a world without outcasts and refugees, without anyone who doesn't know what welcome means. I yearn for a world where nobody knows what it's like to go to bed hungry. I yearn for a world where forgiveness and reconciliation bridge impossible divides, tear down the walls that we build around our hearts, and salve deep, deep wounds with healing balm. I yearn for real peace, for genuine joy, for selfless love. Those are some of the things that I yearn for. And Advent reminds me that I am waiting for the world as we know it to change. It's the type of waiting that the psalmist describes. I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in His word I hope. My soul, my inner essence, my deepest self, my very being waits for the Lord more than those who watch for the morning. More than those who watch for the morning. Advent waiting is even more than sitting in the depths of the night and waiting for the dawn. The psalmist writes, O Israel, O world, hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with Him is great power to redeem. It is He who will redeem Israel and the world from all its iniquities, from all wickedness, from all evil, from all sin. That's what I'm waiting for. I am waiting for kingdom come. But there comes a time when waiting, unrequited, unrewarded, unfulfilled waiting, begins to turn to lament. The heart struggles to bear the energy of yearning all the time for something that seemingly never comes. I wait even more than those who watch for the morning, more than those who watch for the morning. I wait in the dark. I wait for a long time. I wait for a long, long time. And that is where the waiting begins to become a bit more like the waiting of our Isaiah passage. Oh, that you would tear open the heavens and come down, so that the mountains would quake at your presence. As when fire kindles brushwood and the fire causes water to boil. I'm waiting for a big change, a heaven-rending, earth-shaking change. I'm waiting for a change of state. Water boiling is a fundamental change from a liquid to a gas. I'm waiting for the state of the world to undergo a fundamental alteration. Oh, that you would tear open the heavens and come down to make your name known to your adversaries, so that the nations might tremble at your presence. Yet the reason it's a lament is that none of that has happened. The prophet continues. But you were angry and we sinned. Because you hid yourself, we transgressed. We have all become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a filthy cloth. We all fade like a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, take us away. There is no one who calls on your name or attempts to take hold of you, for you have hidden your face from us and delivered us into the hand of our iniquity. And we have become world weary. Yearning, unfulfilled, becomes lament. And lament, unfulfilled, becomes cynicism. You stop waiting. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits. And you start wishing. Oh, that you would tear open the heavens and come down. And then eventually, you stop wishing. There's a Thomas Hardy poem that I often quote entitled Christmas 1924. It's quite short and it's quite dark. Peace upon earth was said, we sing it, and pay 1,000,000 priests to bring it. After 2,000 years of mass, we've got as far as poison gas. A long, long way from peace, in other words. And that was 100 years ago. But it still rings true today. Now that's deeply cynical. And by the way, this is the low point of the sermon. It's uphill from here on. But we needed to let cynicism have its moment. You see, cynicism is where we live much of the time. It's in the air we breathe. Cynicism and quiet despair. And day to day, we just stop actively hoping. We sleepwalk. And we stop doing anything much to change anything much. And that's what Hardy's poem illustrates, I think. If you wish for peace, I wish with all my heart. But you don't work for peace. If you wish for justice, but do nothing about injustice. If you wish for decency, but you keep voting for indecency, well, cynicism wins out. And that is why I treasure Advent. Every year I need it more. Instead of an escapist holiday sugar rush or a brief break from the world's cynicism, I need to sit in the dark a bit and light a candle and remember that I'm watching for morning. I need to remember what I'm waiting for, what I'm yearning for. But Advent waiting, I'd suggest, is yet one more step beyond yearning. It's the passage of time coupled with eager anticipation, coupled with anxious tension, coupled with yearning, coupled with action. We've had several sermons recently that have touched on this sort of waiting. A few weeks ago, we considered the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. They were all waiting for the bridegroom's arrival, but some had brought extra lamp oil. Some were waiting prepared, the wise ones, while the others were merely waiting. We also considered the parable of the talents. A landowner goes away for an unspecified time, perhaps a long time, perhaps a long, long time, leaving his servants in charge of his estate, his affairs, his resources. And again, there's sort of a division of wise and foolish, or faithful and faithless. Some of the servants take what has been charged to them and they put it to work. They invest, they risk, they seek to multiply the good, they double what they were given. But one of the servants just buries what he's been given and does nothing. Sort of like burying hope and wishing for peace, or burying hope and wishing for justice, or burying hope and wishing for anything to change. Advent waiting is about recalling what we yearn for and believing in what we yearn for and investing in what we yearn for and expecting what we yearn for and rededicating ourselves to what we yearn for. And that is what my heart needs. That is what I need so deep right now. And I don't need to do it by myself. I need to do it with you. The community of the faithful. The community of the watchful. The community of the hopeful. So while the culture around us is listening for sleigh bells, jingling, ring-ting-tingling too, we light one candle, and then one more, and then one more, and then one more, until the true light that enlightens everyone returns to the world. That's what we're waiting for. Amen.